Oh, yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, outsiders of all ages, it is a Wednesday show. That means it's a What Are You Drinking Wednesday. Grab a beverage, alcoholic or otherwise, and join us. It's the Outsiders, and we're going to have a good time. And by the way, as you see right there on your screen, it's the Outsiders presented by Poncho. Go to ponchooutdoors.com to see all the great stuff. That's Colt in a camo poncho shirt, short sleeve, long sleeve. Look at that number Bo's got on tonight. That is a beaut. Well done, Bo Edge.
Part of their new line. I have all y'all's gear sitting in a box right here in my studio, but I'm too cheap to send it to you. I sent our hats out via UPS, but I wasn't sending y'all shirts.
All you gotta do is drive to Jason.
You know what, Bo? The weather's getting maybe back to a little more normal and drivable. I'll be in touch about coming to grab a little poncho gear.
Hey, I got to head your way because I owe Jason. I lost the bet, me and him. So instead of me getting the poker club membership, I got to bring him the poncho. He lives in Manor. You live in Elgin. Close enough. I'll bring you your gear. I just wasn't going to do it when I felt like hammered dog shit with whatever the virus was that had taken over my body, and it was too cold out this week. But it will get done.
Tell you what, if you play your cards right, I might buy you a fancy lunch or dinner in Manor or Elgin. Ironically, there is a place called Hammered Dog Shit, and they make some good pot roast.
Well, if that's not open, there's that Whataburger right there on 290 that I have frequented at time.
Hey, let me tell you what. For I don't know how long has it been, 2 or 3 good years at least, maybe even 5. I'm surrounded by Whataburgers now, one in Manor, one in Elgin. I cannot complain. At all. All right, so it is the Outsiders.
Quick question, Chad.
Yes, sir.
Having been to your house over Christmas time, I realize the Christmas decor comes down, but do new gnomes and elves appear in your yard, or is that only a Christmas tradition?
There's no new gnomes or elves, and how dare you assume that the Christmas stuff comes down? I got till the end of January, according to the HOA. I mean, come on, we're still celebrating those holidays. You kidding me?
Hey, I just put up my Mardi Gras decoration, so we're just going to keep the party rolling.
Yeah, exactly. We here's all I'll say. There was a little extra celebration in the Hastings house a few days ago, and everybody needs to tune in tomorrow night to the Outsiders. We got something a little special for you on tomorrow night's show. Just stick around for that. But tonight, first off, we need to say hello to our man, Jason Dick. He's not a part of the show tonight. He's dealing with a couple things. So he's going to be back with us tomorrow night on the Thursday show. So we hope he's doing well. We know Mach 5 is always doing well. Your upper left, it is the quarterback. It's Mach 5, and it's a Wednesday. What are we drinking, Chance?
Oh, tonight in celebration of the incredible Buffalo Bills, I didn't wear my Bills shirt because I know we have a bunch of dim boys watching the show.
Mm-hmm.
And so I didn't want to rub it in because not only did dim boys not playing next week, dim boys still have the same coach. Which I have a thought on that anyway. But yes, so tonight in celebratory, we are having my own little tequila laced. I got this sugar-free limeade that you put slices of jalapeno. So it's a spicy margarita. It's delicious.
Yeah.
So it's hot. I mean, it's cold up there, so I figured I'd make a spicy hot drink down here.
Little spicy margarita. And before we introduce Bo, did you hear what Uncle Chance said? Did you hear him? Huh? Did you hear what he said? You blew the 2 seed. You lost it home.
Did you know I heard today that the Packers have won more playoff games in Jerry World than the Cowboys have?
Oh, Jesus.
You got to stop, okay? He's still in mourning, asshole.
I knew it was 6-0 now, and then when you say it that way, it just makes it worse. Good Lord. Yeah, boy, let me tell you, for a Cowboys fan, not only is it just delightful that they lost the way they lost and who they lost to, but Saturday night, it's the who cares against the who cares. The Niners and Packers are getting together. Goody. That's always fun to watch. It's like a Cowboys fan.
Well, all right. The Sooners and the Aggies meet up for us Longhorn fans.
Yeah, exactly.
You still want to watch.
You guys are hoping for the same thing I'm hoping for, just the field to just swallow up both teams. All right. Your bottom outsider tonight is Bo Edge. It is the Country Gorilla. He's rocking the Daryl Gus Outsiders hat. I like it. The solid look.
Well,
what are we drinking, Bo?
I got the white one. I got the black one. Some of our listeners just got their care packages after last week. They all went to Twitter. You can get them too on Last Stand hats. There are 12 different variations of this amazing logo designed by Mike Murphy, the creation of Chris Abbott. Now, the ghost of Chris Abbott doesn't come around much anymore, but Chris Abbott came up with the logo and when he said, guys, we're legitimately worth the shit, which turns out we were more than legitimately worth the shit. We made the playoffs.
Hey, people, this is the time. I mean, we are legitimately worth a shit this year.
He knew it. My favorite part of that now has become that he doesn't look like he has eyes. Like it's the bill, the hat was just perfect that it covered up his eyes.
Sometimes with this Daryl Royal hat.
Look at it. It's so good. It's a perfect. That Cedar Park hat is perfectly tilted. Check out Outsiders 10. That's your promo code at Last Stand Hats. Some good quality stuff there. Bo's got his drink. Bo, what are we drinking?
For the first time in 10 days, I feel amongst the living again, and I don't have whatever disease Jason was able to give to me through the interwebs. So it is some small batch Elijah Craig with a little splash of Diet Coke.
Small batch Elijah Craig. That sounds fancy. Bo, I'm going to try to make you proud tonight for the first time on the Outsiders. We're going brown water.
Ooh.
We are going brown
and he's doing it neat.
Water.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Very excited.
Chad is a bourbon connoisseur, if you will. I drink too much of it to savor the flavor. I just pour it down the gullet.
Going to be sipping some of that. This is one of the whiskeys recommended to me by the great Rick Sacamano, who is a complete whiskey snob, and he knows that I'm not. He knows that I'm a bit of a lightweight. So we got a nice peach pecan whiskey that he recommended for me. It's lovely. Lovely.
Very nice.
And
Very
not a kill you, knock you in the head strong whiskey. So it's good for me. It's my pace kind of whiskey.
So is it one that we could use for the power hour?
I don't know if I'd do that.
I'm not sure. Okay. I realize I went 0-6. And so the odds are very favorable that the power hour will include me, even though I did win the college pick'em. That's okay.
That's true.
I ain't doing the power hour with a bottle of bourbon. Okay?
No,
there are certain limits.
That's going to be tough. We will get to those NFL picks later on in the show. Also a little later on, in fact, coming up here in like 5 minutes or so, Jeff Ketchum of orangebloods.com to try to put into perspective everything that's going on with Texas football right now. Because, fellas, there's some good news going on if you're a Texas football fan with the retirement of Nick Saban and the dominoes that have started to fall in terms of the portal. Longhorns have taken advantage. The last two to mention, Texas did get the receiver from Oregon State, Silas Bolden, and they did get that linebacker from Bama, Kendrick Blackshire. But fellas, as of today, at one point, it was 24 Alabama guys into the portal since Nick Saban retired. Their left tackle joined the list today. That stud freshman safety, Caleb Downs, joined the list today. I'm not sure if the Longhorns get either one of those guys, but Bama is really trying to figure out what's going on right now, Chance, with Kalen DeBoer coming in.
Well, I think, the funniest thing that I saw on the interwebs today was a clip from the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and it's like DeBoer walking in, and then all of a sudden, they get up and they all leave the room, right? And I was like, God almighty, how would you feel if you're DeBoer and you come in and you're excited about the opportunity? Not only are you shouldering the pressure of following Nick Saban, but you're like, all right, I got a good team. Surely Nick's going to help me keep these guys around. Everything's good. And your first day in the office, you receive a stack of 24 letters saying, peace out, coach. And I'm not talking about little guys. I mean, Caleb Downs is now, I believe, the number one guy in the portal. That's how good he is. You lose Isaiah Bond to Texas, a team that you're going to be competing against. You've got players going to Georgia. I mean, it's absolutely mind-blowing. The other one is the big freshman tackle, 6'8", 375, started every game for Alabama this year. That's your starting tackle. And you're going to want to come in and run that offense in Alabama, and you got these guys, your talent's leaving. So I think for him, he's got to be sitting there with his head on a swivel going, what the hell do I do? Because the pressure is mounting incredibly fast. And the Tide, those fans are already getting restless with the hire, with how many people are jumping in the portal.
And this isn't anything about DeBoer, but when you hire an outsider, when you hire somebody with no allegiance to the program, and it happens to be your third or fourth choice, and it was very public that he was not the first choice, how do you blame kids for not trying to find a better home? Like we've talked about, the portal doesn't necessarily mean you have to leave. Some of these guys may choose to come back to DeBoer, but they were going to avail themselves of the opportunity to put their name in the hat and go have some conversations. And if nothing else, get an extra 100 or 200 grand in their bank account when the NIL money comes to calling. Now, some of these guys are gone. Caleb Downs is gone because you don't leave at that age, or the tackle. If you're a freshman, you're looking to go somewhere else. A couple juniors or seniors may just not know what the right answer is yet till they've met DeBoer, know what kind of program he wants to run, see who the assistant coaches are going to be. But that's what like Saban did Alabama no favors by doing it the way he did it. Now, he did it the honorable way. Yeah. He did it the honorable way and did it before signing day and did it before all these things happened when the school, was about to open their doors. A shadier coach would have made that decision in March. A shadier coach would have had all those kids locked down for a few months for the guy that took over. Saban did it the right way, but Alabama's paying for that.
Yeah, a lot of craziness going on there. Fellas, before we get Ketch in, let me get your thoughts on these two guys that Texas was able – last couple they were getting in the portal. What do you guys think about the receiving group now? Chance, I'll start with you. Not only let me see if I get it all straight because it's going to be a wordle. Matthew Golden, Isaiah Bond, and now Silas Bolden. I think I got all that right. How about that receiving take in the portal?
I think it's a phenomenal get with what you're picking up. And let's not forget, I should say, who they're going to have in that receiving room that's already there on campus. So when you do that, you've got a lot of guys that are playmakers. I think the interesting thing is when you see the Silas thing, he is like 5'8", 165, incredibly quick, incredibly fast. And that's the kind of guy that, not to bring in my headed to the divisional round Buffalo Bills, but that's what they found with a guy like Shakir and a guy like Deontay Hardy. When the quarterback's in trouble, get him the ball in space, and he has a chance to get those yak yards, which we all know are so important. So I think they're building a really interesting quarterback room that's going to relieve a lot of pressure off of QB3 coming back.
Well, Bo, you've been talking about the ukulele all season long. One of his badass receivers is now one of yours.
I know, and this is a luxury. This is what Silas Bolden is what great teams get to do because they have just enough spots to fill it. Silas Bolden, Jeff may disagree with me. Silas Bolden wasn't brought in to be a starting wide receiver. He's a commodity, and he also is a great returner. And as Chance alluded to, he's a little guy. You can move him around. He's exactly the weapon Sark wants for 15 plays. Mm-hmm. And I guarantee you he was told that. We're going to make you a star in 15 plays because in those 15, my Sarkness will come out and you will score on one of them. We're going to have you running motions. You're going to be the guy helping us diagnose whether they're in zone or man. You're going to be the guy sent on these exotics because he's not big enough to be an every down receiver at any level. Well, maybe at the Oregon State fighting with the DG ukuleles, but not at SEC level football and sure as hell not in the NFL. He's a commodity. He's what what they hoped Keelan would be when they recruited him from Alabama. And he had flashes, but not enough. I think Silas Bolden will do more, but not as a starter. He's the first one to come in through the portal that I don't think will ever start at the University of Texas.
All right, we will see what that looks like. I think you may be able to be more than that. And I would definitely direct people to orangebloods.com. And actually, the guy we're about to talk to, Jeff Ketchum, his initial analysis and reaction to Silas Bolden. He did link a video of his highlights from one particular game. Go check him out because the one thing that'll stand out to you, Chance mentioned speed. When this dude gets out in space, it is sudden. It is different. It will take your breath away. I am not sure. I don't know if it's Marquise Goodwin. I'm not exactly sure who it is that might have that kind of flat out speed. When he lets it go, it is impressive to watch.
And how quickly he gets there. That's what's impressive.
It's so much fun to watch it. And like Bo, like you said, this team already had some things built, and then they get to put the luxury of Silas Bolden on top of it. All right, to talk about that and more, we're going to get Jeff Ketchum in here in just a second. Before we do that, Bo, why don't we take them to? We've taken them to the top of the house. Let's take them to the sides of the house.
Let's take them to where you see outside the house.
Yes.
If you're building, if you're renovating your home, trust Texan Windows for all your needs. 50 plus years of service in Texas. Texas Windows is an expert window company. All you got to do, scan the QR code to get a free estimate. TexanWindows.com. Get a free estimate over the phone. They've been doing this for 50 plus years. This is real deal stuff. When you get with contractors, you don't want the fly-by-night people. You want the people that are here in your communities, guys that you know. In this particular instance, call Brian Haley. There's a 1-800 number on the screen for a free estimate. I'm telling you to go right to the source. 987-8393. Brian Haley is your guy. He's the Texan Windows rep here in Central Texas. Give Brian Haley a call. Let him come out. Let him quote your windows. You will save money in the long run by having a more energy efficient house. Your house will look better. Mama will be happy. Call Texan Windows.
All right. If we got a great interview coming up, that means it's brought to you by Last Stand Hats. We already talked about them a little bit. Remember, Outsiders 10 is your code. You got 12 different designs of that Outsiders cap. Be sure to wear it with pride and let them know that you're legitimately worth a shit. Shout out to Last Stand Hats, one of the great partners around here.
Look at this bad boy. It's even got a nice little roll. I mean, come
Black
on.
with the white rope. That may be the way to go, kids. Black with
burnt orange just pops like pop, pop, pop.
Hey, you can wear that one to a wedding right there. That black with the white. You get the right suit on. You're good. All right, let's bring him in. He's the owner of OrangeBloods.com. You see him all over Orange Bloods. You see him all over Orange Bloods Live. He's sitting in that badass chair running the world every day. He is Jeff Ketchum. What's up, Ketch?
If you'd worn that hat to my wedding, you might have got thrown out. I'm just saying, not every wedding.
Not every wedding. That's true.
You let me in.
I love the hat. I love the hat. I'm just saying, not all weddings.
Hey, I got married in a building that they makeshifted into a hotel for a Matthew McConaughey movie. Bo, you could have worn it to that one. Trust me. You'd have been good at my wedding. No problem.
Dude, I had a dude show up to my wedding wearing a brown cowboy suit from the 1800s when it was supposed to be a black and white wedding. I can assure you the hat would have gotten through.
That is rough. That is rough. Ketch, I'll let these guys throw questions at you too, but let's just get get a thought about Silas Bolden, because we were just talking about him as we were bringing you in. I know you've had a chance to look at maybe more film than a lot of people have, and because a lot of people maybe weren't watching Oregon State. How effective, how much of a part of this, of this team do you think Silas Bolden can be? Do you think he has a chance to maybe be a starter?
He certainly got a chance. Will he absolutely be a starter? He's not Isaiah Bond, but he was a better player than Matthew Golden was last year, a more productive player. The thing that you and I have talked about a lot in the last couple of days, what I like most about Silas Bolden as an outside receiver is that against the biggest teams, I mean, Bo can say he can't do it against SEC teams, but he did it against Washington. He did it against Oregon. He really did it against Utah. He did it against UCLA. He did it against Washington State. Like, they played 5 ranked teams this year, Oregon State did. And every one of those games in the regular season, he produced like a big dog wide receiver. I don't think this is a gadget guy. I think this is an undersized playmaker. Now, again, is he absolutely nailed on to be a starter? I think he's got some work in front of him. I think the way Sarkisian has boosted the receiving core through the portal, and then obviously you've got guys like Jonte Cook going into his second year. What will Ryan Wingo be in year one? The truth of the matter is that by November, they could all be behind Ryan Wingo if the light switch comes on and he turns out to, he hits that alpha mode a little earlier than, say, Jonte Cook did this season. But I'm president of the Silas Bolden fan club. And while I can't say he'll certainly be a starter, I do think he's the second best wide receiver that they've brought in through the portal so far. And I think that, that guy played for Texas this year. I think he'd have put up some big numbers. I think he's a really good player.
So, Catch, I think you're misconstruing my point a little bit. I think he's a heck of a football player, and I think he will see significant time on the field for the Longhorns. What I'm saying, though, is he is not the alpha one that national champion teams looks for. He's a piece that helps you win. He's a contributing factor that does great things for a squad, and that Texas is to a point where they can go get that piece is a testament to where Sark's got this. They were able to flip over and get 3 or 4 veteran receivers to a room that had no veteran leadership, that had nobody that had played in real games. Jonte Cook could be a star. He's got 8 catches, and he was the leader?
What I would say about Silas Bolden that is kind of a feather in his cap is that Texas had an opportunity to go after the likes of Juice Wells from South Carolina. They had a chance to go after the kid from Purdue, Deion Burks. Hey, look at there, Chad.
Well done. Well done.
You.
Volleyball clap. You can never get it right, Catch, but you nailed it. Well done.
Finally, I remembered that kid's name. They had a chance to go get those guys, and they hesitated. They didn't think those guys were quite what they were looking for, and they really slow played those guys. They didn't slow play Silas Bolden. Even when they brought in Isaiah Bond, they identified him as a guy they really wanted to have. And I think what we're going to see from this offense is a lot of speed. I think that the one thing he gives you, he can take the top off of defense. He can apply a lot of pressure on the defense in a lot of ways. And I don't know that Jonte Cook is quite that guy, but Isaiah Bond is, Matthew Golden is, and I think Silas Bolden are. So when you look at those 3 guys, the 3 guys they brought in from the portal, the one thing that you would absolutely say about all of them is that don't let them get a step on you because you won't make it up. And I think we're going to see a little bit of a different Texas offense in 2024 than we saw in 2023. And I think the passing game will probably look a lot more maybe like the Alabama offense when they were loaded at wide receiver and it was Waddle and Mechie and Devontae Smith. They didn't have those big monsters, but they had guys that was just run by everybody. This group's not that good. I hope nobody goes to Twitter and says that Ketch said that the wide receiver unit was like the Alabama unit when Sarkisian won a national championship. From a makeup standpoint, they've got some similar qualities in that they can really create big plays. And I think they want more of that in the passing game in 2024.
Chance, you got something for Catch?
I do, because I want to go on the similarity thing in the wide receiver. You mentioned Wingo, and this is our, hey, guys around the bar show, right? We're just sitting talking football. So I want to bring in the conversation I was having this weekend. I look at Wingo, even with the guys that we brought in, and you talk about those guys, and they can take the top off. I think you're going to see Quinn throwing a lot more deep balls. I think a lot more what we call alumni balls. But Wingo, I made the comparison. People are going, well, why would he come there? They're bringing all these guys. And I said, he kind of in a way reminds me developmentally of Roy Williams from the physicality side of it, that he could come in as a freshman and not only contribute, but be a big contributor because he has the body for it. He just looks more mature. Would you, and I'm not saying he's Roy, going back to don't go to Twitter and say I'm saying he's Roy. He hadn't got on camp, he's not played a game yet. But can you see those similarities? And I feel like he's a guy that should be able to come in and contribute greatly.
I think it's just a matter of how comfortable, he's going to be here for the spring. So that's so big because by the time he wanted to be here for bowl workouts. This was a guy that had hoped to sneak in 10 workouts in the bowl games and then have the 15 in the spring. And then by the time you're done with August and you get to the first game, you'd say, God, this guy's had 40 practices. this isn't your normal freshman showing up week one, quite honestly, like Roy Williams was, right? Like Roy just showed up in August, probably showed up a little bit before that this summer, but off the top of my head, like I don't remember the freshman really coming in back in 2000. Maybe you could tell me, Chance.
Yeah, no, we were there.
Okay.
We got there in June.
It didn't quite feel like it does now, where it feels like by the end of your career, 7-on-7 became such a more advanced thing than maybe it was even just a few years before. But the bottom line is Wingo's going to be here a lot. He is a 5-star level prospect. He's a super blue chip. It's just a matter of when he gets comfortable playing at this level. And it could happen at any time in the spring. It could happen in the summer where there's a moment and you go, he's starting to kick everybody's ass in 7-on-7, and you just feel the surge taking place. It's going to happen at some point. And I don't think he's quite got Adonai Mitchell and Xavier Worthy in front of him the way that Jonte Cook did this year. That Jonte legitimately has got either a couple of day one or early day two guys in front of him. I think Isaiah Bond's going to play more in the slot. Of all of these guys, he's the one guy in college that has, at Alabama played 60% of his snaps this year in the slot. It's not what Bolden did, and it's not what Golden did. I got to be careful. Bolden and
look
Golden.
out.
So those two guys are going to be on the – I think Jonte Cook's one starter on the outside. I think you've got Bolden and Golden battling for the other starting position right now on the outside. And look, Golden is going to be here in the spring. That does give him an advantage early on in terms of building a rapport with Quinn Ewers. But behind both of those guys will be Ryan Wingo. And look, by November or October or freaking April 30th, like maybe he starts taking everybody's cornbread, but it's not happened yet. And I think the one thing Sarkisian is going out of his way to say is, I think we've got a team that can win a national championship, and we're not going to let young players growing up on the fly be the difference between whether we get there or not. If Wingo does it, by God, we saw it with CJ Baxter. Like, they want to get their badasses on the field when they can. We saw them want to play Baxter over Brooks, even when it became pretty apparent pretty early on. Brooks is their best running back. If healthy, Baxter would have continued to be the starter, I believe, this season. So, yeah, like I will not poo-poo the chances of Ryan Wingo being a starter by the time Georgia and Texas play each other. It could very well happen.
Okay. So, Ketch, it's kind of a two-parter, and one of them is very easy. Do you see Silas Bolding being part of the return game, punts and kickoffs in the future? And that's why I was saying he's a luxury item, because he's such an electric returner. He can get himself, free from a phone booth. He seems like the perfect guy to take Worthy's role in that. Second piece. Okay.
I think Bolden's your punt returner and Golden's your kickoff returner. And those guys, Bolden was a second-team All-Pac-12 punt returner a year ago. He didn't do it this year because he became such an important piece of the offense that they had other guys do it. And Golden was second-team All-Big 12 as a kickoff returner or specialist behind Xavier Worthy. So they got the best returning guy in the Big 12 from a year ago handling kickoffs. And I think, I think it wasn't an accident that Jeff Banks seemed very excited on social media yesterday when Bolden committed. I think both of those guys will be starters on special teams.
So the second piece of that question is, you mentioned the Alabama wide receiver core back in the day when Sark was there. Could this be an indication that with Quinn coming back for his not senior year, but the year that they didn't think they were going to get with him, with a leader at quarterback, with veteran that knows the offense, that this is the year Sark maybe opens up and you see more 4 wide sets because he doesn't have a complete workhorse at the running back, and you see some of that, a lot more motion in the offense, double moves, like just trying to keep the defense guessing at all points, because I'm going to send waves of playmakers with speed. So this may be the year that it's not 3 or 4 receivers like it was in the rotation this year. He may have 6 or 7 rotating in and out of some of those spots because now he has true NFL weapons beyond just Worthy Mitchell.
Yeah, I think we'll see less 12 personnel this year. That being said, one of the things I'm reporting tonight is that they're going after the best tight end in the portal, in Amari Niblack. I had initially been told that they didn't think that was going to happen for a couple of reasons. Now it's Wednesday night. I'm hearing he's preferred to the Stanford tight end, Urasek. How do we say it, Chad?
Urasek.
That guy. I may not ever have to learn that guy's name because
it's Ben, right?
Like Niblack is the guy that they prefer. He will visit by the end of the week. I was told tonight. I talked to 2 different people today about transfers in general. One said, "Look, Sark thinks this team legitimately has a chance to be one of the top teams in college football next year. They can win a national championship, and he's going to go after every slim margin that he can gain in the portal, and he's not going to slow down." And I texted somebody tonight, and I was like, "Man, Sark is going for it." And he was like, "Yes, he is." And Chad, we talked about this. When it's all said and done, they may be double digits in portal additions when we thought maybe a month ago it might be half that. But I still think they could add Niblack to the tight end position and really boost that up. For those that remember the Alabama game, he scored on a big play in that game. It was like a 40-yard reception where he made a couple of guys miss. He made a run. He's in the Rivals rankings. He is the highest rated tight end that's entered the portal so far in this cycle, with Chad's former Aggie, Jake Johnson, being the number 2 guy. Mm-hmm. So it gives you a little bit of perspective. Like, Jake Johnson's a really good player. They've got Niblack rated ahead of him. He's got 2 years of eligibility remaining. Scored 4 touchdowns this year, which might have been as many as Sanders had. I'm trying to remember what Jatavian did from a touchdown standpoint, but remember, it had to have been more. There was a point this year where Sanders was like midway through the season, and it had been like 19 straight games or something like that where he hadn't. It had been a long stretch where he hadn't scored touchdowns. They could add him to this group, but I think we are going to see more 4 wide receiver sets. And Chance, I mean, you tell me, like, what's scary about this group is that they could go 4 wides, and 3 of those guys could be Golden, Bolden, and Bond, and all of those guys can put pressure on opposing defenses in that anytime they touch the ball, they can go the distance. They're not nickel and dime guys. They're guys that anywhere on the field they can take it to the house. We probably would even think about Jonte Cook in that same fashion. So it's an offense that really, Adonai Mitchell, for all the good things that he did, I was really stunned when I watched a Washington YouTube show right before the game. And one of the guys said, Adonai Mitchell's only got like 150 yards after the catch this season. And I hadn't really thought about it, but I was like, you know what? He hasn't been, he'll go up and get it, and he can get you the big play, but he's not a guy that necessarily created a lot after the catch. Mm-hmm. All of these guys can do that. And I think the problem that the Texas offense had last year is that really Xavier Worthy was the only guy that scared you after the catch. When he got the ball in his hands, other teams went, oh, shit. And like they had to dictate everything to make sure that didn't happen. It will be advantageous for this offense if they can have 3 guys that apply that type of pressure. And again, I hate to even leave Jonte Cook out of that equation because I also think of him as a guy that can do exactly the same thing. So maybe it's not as good of an overall group of receivers as what Texas would have had last year or this year. Just the season just ended. But maybe it's a more explosive and dangerous group. And clearly Sarkisian is building this offense in the mode, this is what he wants. I think he could have had Juice Wells. He could have had the kid from Purdue. They could have had some other guys, what they've wanted are these type of guys. So we'll see.
Well, I think and when people hear speed, they think we're going to go, 4 wide receivers, 3 of them down the pipe, let's throw it deep. But that's not what it does. If it makes you, I like guys that catch the ball and can run afterwards. I want the guys that scare you in space, right? Because if you've got speed guys, now you take the top off and the underneath becomes available, which creates massive space for those guys to catch the ball. And then when they're in space, then they make you miss, because Texas did. I'm not surprised to hear the yak yards with AD. A lot of his stuff was deep, toe tap, out of bounds, out routes, possession, body up and get the ball, or in the end zone. Like, that's where he was. And he was phenomenal at it. I don't think that's the game Sark wants to play. I think he wants to take the lid off and shots if it's there, but then bring those guys underneath and let them win in space. And they all can.
Hey, Chance, one thing you as a quarterback will love about Silas Bolden is that his drop rate this season was 2.9, which is really low. Mm-hmm. But his drop rate for his career is below 1%. You throw him the ball, he catches the ball, which is kind of an amazing stat for a guy who's 5'7", and you maybe wouldn't necessarily think would be that kind of a junkyard dog. But Chad talks about the Utah film that I showed in the instant analysis piece that I wrote. Just Alex was the one that turned me on to it. Look up Beaver Joystick on YouTube.
Yeah.
And there are a couple of balls where they throw him the ball in traffic, in quite frankly, like a group of guys. He will go get the ball, and he'll go after the ball in a way where his quarterback doesn't have to worry about anybody else coming down with the ball if it's in his area. There were times with Adonai Mitchell this year. The OU game is one of them. Mm-hmm. I really thought that either the first or second interception, I think it was the first that Ewers threw.
The slant.
Mitchell gives up on the route. He lets the DB fight through him and get inside position, and then slows down so that he's not even really involved in the play. Like that should have been an incomplete pass. One of the things I like about Silas Bolden, and I don't know that Texas has had enough of this for Quinn Ewers, is give him a guy that's going to go and fight for the football. I think Jordan Whittington was that guy, but I wouldn't always describe, for as much as I love Xavier Worthy and as big of a fan as I am of Adonai Mitchell, those guys weren't junkyard dogs when the ball came their way. I think Silas Bolden is. It's one of the reasons why I really like him. I have to believe that if I was a quarterback, once you trust with a guy like that, it's invaluable, because I think there have been times when Quinn Ewers is somewhat indecisive with the football, and I don't always think he's completely trusted that his receivers will protect him if he puts a ball in a position where, hey, it's a 50-50 ball, but I'm trusting you to make that play. We've seen at times Xavier Worthy struggle to find 50-50 balls when they're in the air. And I think there have been times when Adonai Mitchell wasn't as aggressive, quite frankly, as he needed to be. So just another thing, and a feather in the Silas Bolden cap.
All right, talking obviously a lot of Longhorns. Also, there's a little bit of Cowboys news today. As you look at your screen, the left side of the screen is not a Cowboys fan side. The right side of your screen is. So we'll see if Ketch wants to share any of those feelings, or if he's gone when we come back from this spot. I will understand why if he's not even there when we come back. But if he is, we'll talk about Jerry's announcement today. Real quick, Chance, let's tell him about Prodigy Mortgage.
Yeah, let's talk about my guy, Thad Lindsay. Look, we're talking about receivers. We're talking about making the catch, scoring that touchdown. And when you're going to buy a house, you need that, right? You got the quarterback trying to get the ball down the field. If he doesn't have anybody to catch it, you're never going to score a touchdown. Texas Longhorns have guys that can catch it, that can go score, and Thad's that guy. When you find your home, when you found that dream home, the last thing you want, when that ball is hanging up in the air, that opportunity to close on your house is that things fall through, that receiver drops it, nobody scores a touchdown, but Thad Lindsay, he'll make sure we get you through the edge, right through the end, all right? So Thad Lindsay, Prodigy Mortgage. Scan that QR code or give them a call, 281-772-6786, 281-772-6786. Look, don't tank this job, okay? Get the ball in the hands of the guy that can get it done. Thad Lindsay, Prodigy Mortgage.
All right, our man Sandman says, let's take it from the beaver joystick to a burnt orange joystick when it comes to Silas Bolden. Sandman
sounds dirty.
Glad you're out there. It does. It does. That does sound a little bit dirty. And if you go check out that film that Ketch linked on orangebloods.com, those two plays were impressive to me. A PI on one play, and he still makes the catch. And on the other one, the defender basically tries to twist his head off like it's a bottle cap, and he still makes the catch. So just good stuff in a tight space, not something you would always expect from a fast, shorter receiver. But I liked what I saw out of Silas Bolden, at least on one set of game film. All right, Jeff Ketchum, brave enough to stay with us to give some Cowboy thoughts.
Go Bills!
Catching a shocking development. Jerry Jones is sticking with Mike McCarthy for year number 5. It'll be the last year of his contract because Jerry just loves that stuff. Your thoughts?
Jerry hasn't fired a coach since 2002. He doesn't have a stomach for it.
That's not real.
Tom Landry.
Parcells retired. Wade Phillips was a mid-season guy, and he just let Jason Garrett's contract expire. So in the last 2 decades, going back to 2002, look, forget about Tom Landry, fired Jimmy Johnson, but it's not what he's done in the last 2 decades. Mike McCarthy's his yes man.
But okay, let me ask you this though, Jeff, because this is something that I thought about today, and Bill's radio was talking about that I thought was a good point. I don't think Jerry was going to get out of his comfort zone unless he had the guy. That guy being Bill Belichick. And those two families have been friends for a while. And if you don't think conversations were going on, I think when he found out that Bill was not interested in the job right now, he said, I'm sticking with the guy that I got, my comfort pillow, if you will. I think he would have pulled the ripcord if Belichick wanted to come.
Maybe. I mean, at the end of the day, Jerry likes to give press conferences as soon as games are over. And that didn't really happen when Parcells was around. It wouldn't happen with Belichick. Belichick does have options. And I think the Cowboys would have the best roster of anybody that he could coach. But how much control would he have? Probably not very much. And you'd have the Jerry thing that would just always be a bit of a carnival thing. He could go after Harbaugh. There's a lot that he could do. Mike McCarthy's not working out. It's not.
No.
But he has no thirst to make that change, but that's kind of who Jerry's been. Jerry hasn't been, I'm going to fire a guy in a while. He let Jason Garrett do a lot worse than Mike McCarthy and never once fired Jason Garrett.
Yep. So as someone from a different fan base who hasn't been through the indignity that the Cowboys fans feel like they've been put through, the guy, Mike McCarthy, is Mac Brown before he won a national title in Texas, except for Mike McCarthy actually has won a Super Bowl.
So he's not Mac Brown.
Well, Mac got his title, but 12 wins every single year. At some point, yes, he's a problem, but there are bigger problems because who would be the coach that you could guarantee right now? And I'm saying this as a non-Cowboys fan, so I get to have a little bit of a different perspective, but name the coach other than Belichick, who I agree. If you get Belichick, you go get Belichick. Which of the coaches that's floating around out there is a surefire 12-plus win-a-season guy, knowing that McCarthy has screwed up in the playoffs? But guess what? He's proven that he's done it before. Is the problem McCarthy or is the problem Dak?
Well, the Cowboys ain't ever going to win a Super Bowl again because Jerry sold his soul to the devil to get that 3rd Super Bowl. That already happened. We can't change the terms of the deal 20-something years later. Like, that's that. Chad and I know. We talk about it every year. The season's going to end in a horrible death that every year it's something new that we've never seen before. This year, it was getting your ass kicked at home by like the 7 seed.
I'm watching the game, and I was trying to be supportive for all my Dim Boys friends, and I had my own issues going on with my freaking Bills having to move days. But I'm watching their Cowboys fans lifelong, and the little boy who's 11 years old has his Cowboys jersey. By midway through the first quarter, he's patting his son on the head. He says, "Son, I've told you as a Cowboys fan, every year they're just going to build you up to think there's something just to tear your soul right out from inside of you." And this kid's crying, and I'm crying, laughing because I'm like, this is fucking hysterical. I mean, it's got to be every year, but I think you have to look at what Marcus Spears said. I think what he said was exactly right. You've got an owner that he saw every day. He said every other organization, he maybe saw the owners for an hour to 2 hours out of the entire season because the owners were out of the way. But you got an owner that runs to how many owners do press conferences?
Yeah, but look, I think Jerry is the problem because he sold his soul. So ultimately, I blame Jerry. But I don't blame Jerry for Sunday, other than like it's in the Devil's contract in the very, very small print that like he gets to fuck with Dallas however he wants to every single year.
It's like, oh, damn, it's right here in blood. 48-16 to the Packers.
It's Jerry's fault that he signed that deal. But I didn't watch the Green Bay game and think to myself, God damn it, Jerry Jones does interviews on Wednesdays on Dallas radio. And that's the I genuinely don't think it's rotten in the ownership group. It is Jerry's fault. But we have to get to a point where I really don't believe that Jerry's such a distraction that what happened against Green Bay is somehow on him. I just don't believe that. Like
it's not.
I don't believe in Dak. I don't believe in McCarthy. I don't really believe in anybody on that team. I don't really believe in Dan Quinn.
I don't believe in
Dan
Quinn.
That was the worst defensive game plan I've ever seen.
No, he stayed in dime all game. Jordan Love has annihilated dime all season long. And Dan Quinn never made an adjustment?
After the first 2 drives where Aaron Jones was running it down your damn throat, maybe you should move a guy up in the box and force Jordan Love to beat you and not Aaron Jones, who was owning the count. Like, there was
the Bills
made fun of Sark for lack of adjustments his first couple of years at Texas. There were no adjustments in the entire 4 quarters.
Yeah, and we talked about it this week, fellas. So you know, Ketch and I compared notes. The moment when we each knew the Cowboys were in deep trouble, Ketch knew right before it was 7-0. I knew right after it was 7-0. We both sensed it right around that same time of like, oh, holy hell.
We were nervous about the Washington game to end the season because it would make sense that the Cowboys would have a chance at the 2 seed. And they completely blow it.
Yeah.
They just blew it 1 week later. Like, that's it. Like, we anticipated that this was going to end in disaster. And it just ended in a different kind of disaster. And look, had they beaten Green Bay, they would have lost to Detroit this weekend. There's no doubt in my mind. They were not getting to the NFC Championship game. And quite frankly, they folded a little too often for my taste every time they played a team with a pulse. I anticipated losing the Buffalo-Miami games back-to-back. I talked about that all year. Well, they're going to lose both of those games. They did. It was only because the Eagles tried to out-cowboy the Cowboys that this even became a thing.
Think about those 2 teams, gentlemen. I believe it was 23 regular season wins combined. When you have to go on TV the next couple of days and everywhere you look, it's who's a bigger disappointment, the Cowboys or the Eagles?
Eagles started 10-1. And there is no seat hotter right now than Nick Sirianni's. He came in stumbling in that opening press conference, and the fans in Philadelphia are rabid right now.
And Chance, the thing about that is that when they were 10-1, Eagle fans were like, this is some BS. We're not as good as they saw that even when it was 10-1,
yeah,
and I thought, well, the Eagles are going to the Super Bowl, their fans were saying, we're not playing anywhere near the brand of football that we were a year ago when we got to the Super Bowl. There's some fool's gold in this. And then they were right. And I remember thinking when they were 10-1, like, guys, enjoy the season. 10-1 is pretty awesome. Instead, they were more right than I was. And it's the only thing that's made the Cowboys loss on Sunday tolerable. If it's like, well, you know what? I'm already going to be miserable. But if I can drag those bastards down with me to the same level of misery, that's actually better than usual.
Preach. Yep. Sad but true. And
Look,
even if it had,
you know what? At least your damn team made the playoffs. My team didn't make the playoffs, and then the coach, who's the best coach they've ever fucking had, got fired because the owner was mad that he lost to the Texans, who actually are a good team, and he had the gall to wear a hat. He had the gall to wear a hat. You know, for Wade Phillips' dad, he wore a Bum Phillips hat when they were trolling on the damn team, and then lost the game. And Vrabel, who will get picked up by somebody else and win a lot of games wherever it is that he decides that he wants to be the coach. And I haven't decided if I'm leaving the Titans yet after 20 years, because I'm going to at least give them the benefit of seeing who they hire, because who knows? Who knows who it could be?
If you come to the Mafia, you can be part of selecting who goes in the pit every week.
I will never, with God as my witness, I will never be a Buffalo Bills Mafia fan.
Hey, and
that's your world.
And
that's
you go into the pit, sir.
I will never be a Cowboys fan. I will. There's a finite number of teams that I will not change my allegiance to. Cowboys and Bills are like 1 and 2. Because I actually liked the Bills until the Oilers game. I used to be a fan of the K-Gun
now, because you know what? They're the least threatening team that's left. Let them have their first.
Yeah.
And let them have their first. You know, you ever really competitive with somebody when you're really young?
This trophy.
And then you get older and they're kind of pathetic. And then you're like, God, you know, like I was really competitive with that person playing basketball when we were teenagers and girls and whatever. And then they get to be like 28 and you think to yourself, you know what? Let them get laid for once. And I feel that way about the Bills. They are like the 40-year-old virgin. I want them to get some. Thing.
We're the 40-year-old virgins that are now on T. And y'all are still smoking cigarettes in the back because y'all were so cool in high school and college. And so, like, we're the 40-year-olds with six-packs doing things, and y'all are going, man, you remember back in y'all are Uncle Rico.
It's true. I hate it, but it's true.
Screw that. Buffalo's had 4 chances to cash this ticket, and they failed. Detroit's never even gotten near the fucking universe of the Super Bowl. And I would love
the NFC. I'm cool with it.
I would love 2 weeks of Super Bowl press conferences with Dan Campbell unhinged. That would be the funnest 2 weeks of Super Bowl lead up. What would he possibly say about his opponent in 2 weeks?
That would be pretty fun. 2 weeks of Grit Goes to Vegas would be pretty cool, gentlemen. That would be pretty cool.
Do you know who we are?
Who
was it that in Can't Hardly Wait? Who is the guy that comes back to high school?
Yeah, I can see him. I can't think of his name, but I know who you're talking about.
Every time you say Can't Hardly Wait, I just picture Jennifer Love Hewitt and then Peter Fasinelli going, Amanda.
Yeah, that's the guy, right? That's who Ketch is talking about. What are you doing? Amanda.
No, the guy that came back was Jason Bateman. But not Jason Bateman. It was the other Bateman brother.
Oh, no. You're Jerry O'Connell. Oh, you're right.
Jerry O'Connell. Yeah,
he's Stand By Me. Jerry O'Connell.
Talking about how he used to.
It's Jerry O'Connell.
It's Cush.
Yes, Cush. It's Cush.
Cush comes back and he's like, you know what, man?
Bro.
Trip McNeely. That's it. That's why I love our fans.
Trip McNeely.
I'm stuck on Amanda. We got Trent McNeely up here.
Good call.
The Cowboys are Trent McNeely.
Trent McNeely. Oh, boy. Yeah, the college girls. Man.
So the Cowboys are Trip McNeely. Who's the Seth Green character with the goggles acting like a dumbass?
Oh, that's the Dolphins. That's McDaniel.
Oh my Lord.
That's perfect. That is absolutely perfect.
That's it. I don't know if we can top that one. That's Jeff Ketchum, orangeblood.com. Ketch, we appreciate it, brother. I will talk to you tomorrow.
Oh, this ended exactly the way I wanted it to. I'll see you guys next time.
That was perfect. Oh my God. I can't I'll salute with a little sip of the old stuff here. My God.
That's a great movie, by the way.
Can't Hardly Wait is one of those. If you haven't seen it, kids, you need to walk yourself through that bad boy. Jennifer Love Hewitt, that level is unbelievable. This one here, no, we don't need it. Let's not. It's bad enough that the Cowboys are what they are. Let's not associate the Cowboys with one of the worst movies
who it is
ever made by mankind.
Hey, you think Dak Prescott can throw the ball over the mountains?
How dare you? How dare you, Blake? How dare you put that star on a scene from Napoleon Dynamite? That is terrible. It is the Outsiders on this Wednesday. What are you drinking Wednesday? Before we wrap up, Bo's got a little covert to talk about. Bo, let's talk about it.
Yep. Go see he'll always be an outsider. He's just not presently on the show. Christopher Abbott. Get out there to Covert 183. I'm working with him right now, trying to get my soon to be, I can't believe I'm saying this, 16-year-old daughter, her first vehicle. The process is so much simpler when you go with professionals like Covert Ford. That's all there is to it. Whether you see Chris, whether you go see Kenny on the floor, any other sales. Anthony is a great sales rep on the floor. Go to Covert 183, tell them what you're looking for, and let them get you into the ride that you need. And then we'll show you a little recorded ad to show you exactly what exists in Covert land.
You want to experience the edge of innovation, the power of performance? Look no further. Introducing the 2023 Ford Edge. Equipped with cutting-edge technology and unparalleled safety features, experience the comfort of the spacious interior and the thrill of its powerful performance. Visit our dealership today or covertford.com. The all-new 2023 Ford Edge. It's not just a ride, it's a journey.
I know what you're all thinking. What time of day do you have to get to the domain where that few people are hanging out? Like, Bo, when did they have to film that thing?
I don't know. I honestly couldn't tell you.
This says the Cowboys are the printer that the guys in Office Space beat to hell with the baseball bat. Come on, man. That's not right.
And listen here, Sam, man. We will be stuck in the 90s as long as we want, because in the 90s, things were good.
I don't feel like he was saying – I think he was saying that the Cowboys are stuck in the 90s, talking about all their championships way back when.
Yeah, like maybe that's it. Yeah. The Cowboys definitely feel like they might be stuck in the 90s. Back up with your ass to the resurrection.
Oh, my God. And by the way, did y'all happen to see Michael Irvin's rant after the game?
Oh, I can only imagine.
Oh, it was fantastic.
I'm sure. Because did he act surprised? What, did he act shocked?
Oh, no, he was pissed. He was pissed. He was talking about when he came to Dallas, those guys before him built that brand, and they handed him that opportunity, and he protected that, and he went and got his. We handed y'all this opportunity, and y'all go and blow it.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Oh. There's a 25-year gap there that he's not accounting for, but sure.
How easy, though? How easy is the path that the 49ers inherited this year to get to the Super Bowl? Like, if you look at it, they got the bye. Now they get the 7-seed Packers. Like, if Detroit wins, they're going to go – like, it's going to be the easiest path to the Super Bowl in the history of Super Bowls.
Did someone just sign in as Jerry Jones so they could send that chat? That's brilliant. Well done. I mean,
those are our listeners. They formed an account on YouTube for Jerry Jones.
I don't know what else to say, but I mean, Bo, it's one of those, the beauty of the NFL playoffs is the truth is always revealed. You get the path in front of you, and the Niners are going to have whatever they have. Dude, if they have to go through Detroit, that's a tough road. It's less if it's Tampa, obviously. But if Detroit gets by Tampa, And he's got to get through that Dan Campbell group playing like they're playing. I'm not going to say that's a soft road, especially if he's got Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen or Mahomes waiting on the other side.
They get it at home, which they earned, obviously. But if the NFC Championship is Detroit in San Francisco, who are you picking? Now, if it's Buccaneers, I know who you're picking, even if your heart takes over your logical brain. So that's why I didn't throw the Bucs into that equation. But it's more on a nice. But what if their path is Packers and Bucs led by Baker Mayfield at home to get to the Super Bowl?
Yeah,
but at the end of the day, let's be real. And I'm not saying this disparagingly, but I really am. The AFC is so much more superior. Look at the 4 quarterbacks playing this weekend in the AFC. Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, CJ Stroud. And then
I love how we put Josh Allen first.
Yeah.
In a world where you have all-world Patrick Mahomes, about to be 2-time MVP Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen gets the top billing.
I still think, and I don't care what anybody says, I think Josh Allen, take the turnovers away, the guy has scored more points than anybody and been accounted for more touchdowns than anybody in the NFL over the last 4 seasons. Period. End of story. He takes over games more than either of those 2 guys do.
Yeah,
because I think that's a pretty relevant part of the conversation.
Man, I'm telling you what, Chance, when she wasn't cheating on me, she was the best girlfriend I ever had.
She did things to me that I didn't know could be done, and I love her for it, and I keep coming back.
Speaking of doing things to people that shouldn't be done, have y'all heard who took over cookie baking duties in South Alabama?
Hey, you know what? And you know what, Bo? I predicted that one. I saw it coming. Other day when I saw that South Alabama's head coach was going to Bama to be the DC, the first thing I thought was, are they going to interview Major? Not only that,
feel bad for all the young lady athletic interns running around there.
How dare you? How dare you? But rehabilitation is possible. Major Applewhite.
Perverts.
Major Applewhite is going to be the head coach apparently at South Alabama. That means, Chance Mott, get ready to feel old. Major Applewhite and G.J. Kinney are going to meet at the 50 for a Sun Belt clash between Texas State and South Alabama, boys. They just get so old so fast, don't they?
Yeah, and GJ's going to win that matchup too.
I would agree.
Never been the biggest Bobcat fan in the world, but that week,
I will
go
be.
Cats.
But hey, remember what helped get him that job, fellas? He called the plays that destroyed Mike Gundy's crew that night. South Alabama whipped up on Mike Gundy early in the season. Looks like Major's going to get a head coaching job at South.
I think he's getting the job because the head coach that was there left for another job, and he's all that was left. But you say it was because of that.
Yeah, that guy was 36, by the way. Another young up-and-comer. The what's his name? Maddox, I want to say is his last name. I think that's right. Something like that. But or no, it's not Maddox. Womack, maybe. Going to be the new DC at Alabama. They grabbed 2 head coaches at a lower level to come in and be assistants under Kalen DeBoer, and it's still got guys going to the portal fast.
Well, and so there's 2 parts to that are funny. Kalen DeBoer is literally single-handedly piecing together the 2019 Indiana Hoosiers staff, which I don't know. Like if you start to look at the pieces, that's where he was at before he went to Fresno. I don't know if that's quite the staff you want to emulate when you get your shot at the big time. But did y'all hear how Washington made out on this deal?
No.
What do you mean?
Between the buyouts, Washington got Finch and $6.5 million because they got paid 12 for DeBoer and only had to pay 5 for Finch, 5.5. So they made 6.5 and probably got the coach they would have wanted anyway.
Nice. And there you go. All right. That's it.
Paid his first year's salary basically out of the buyout they got for DeBoer.
There it is. The money of college football. All right, guys, we're past time, and our man Blake, the super producer, needs to get to bed. Let's wrap up, Bo. Stuffed Cajun Meat Market. They've got all the good food for the folks.
Guys, we're about 2-3 weeks away from crawfish really getting into full swing, and that's when Stuffed's going to be the star of the show. Whether you want live crawfish, boiled crawfish, whatever you want, Stuffed Foods will be your home. Jason isn't here, but yes, they have the meat pies. They have the jambalaya, the etouffee. They have muffaletta sandwiches. You can get there. They have 9 kinds of sausage, 3 kinds of boudin. It is tailgater heaven, even if it's too cold to tailgate outside. Chance will be tailgating. I know we already got some Louisiana Lightning shipped to him by Stuffed Foods because I helped facilitate it. It's Stuffed Foods, Cajun Meat Market, right there in the wood, and not in the Woodlands. Chances in the Woodlands, right there off 620.
There you go. And before we get out of here, one more time, we remind you it's The Outsiders presented by Poncho. Let's see Colt in a Poncho shirt. Woo, that's Colt Russian somewhere in a Poncho shirt. That looks like the one that I wore on a show after the Longhorns made the playoff. Comfortable, durable, great outdoor stuff for whatever you're looking to do. Maybe you're headed out on a hunt. You need some of that great camo. Check out the QR code right there, ponchooutdoors.com. Great gear for all those outdoor folks on your list. All right, I think it's about time. Thanks to everybody on that Specs chat tonight. Remember, specsonline.com or get the Specs app. They can deliver right to you, or just hit your favorite local Specs location. Thanks to Blake, the super producer, for all his great work. Tomorrow night, hopefully Jason Dick will rejoin us at 9 o'clock. We got to make picks. So far in the NFL picks, Chance Mock is in the lead. He's way out in front. He was 3-3. I was 2-4, along with Jason Dick, who was 2-4. And Bo Edge, that's right, Bo Edge took the collar in the NFL. He knows how to pick college games, but 0 for 6. Let's double check this. Let's double check.
I blame the Rona or whatever the hell I had last week that had me chugging Dayquil. It just rotted my brain. Now I know why Jason has moments of he has lapses. It's because of the Dayquil and the HEB sodas.
Bo, I'm telling you, you should have worried when you had so many picks that were similar to mine, but I did get
I know, I was.
I got two right.
Hit it.
I got 2 right because I told y'all I thought my Cowboys were going to have to win a real football game, and they weren't quite ready. I thought they could win close, but I thought it would be close, and it was the other way, obviously. And I did think it was wrong team favored. I didn't buy this crap about the Eagles are just going to magically become a good team again. The Bucs are not a lot of things, but they're going to make you beat them. And I think Detroit will do it this week. But boys, you don't accidentally beat the Bucs. They're going to make you grind and scratch and claw, and the Eagles just weren't ready for it. And I didn't think they'd do it that bad, but I thought the Bucs would win that game. So those are the only 2 I got right.
As soon as it came out on Friday that A.J. Brown wasn't playing, I knew that I'd picked the wrong side of that game. Because without A.J. Brown, Jalen Hurts is average. Like A.J. Brown, sometimes the receiver makes a quarterback look really good because he gets – the routes that Jalen loves to throw, those slants and those posts are exactly what A.J. Brown is able to physically body the other guy out of the way every single time and come down with the ball. And without him as that weapon,
he's built like a running back. He's huge. And he's a big body guy that provides cover.
But without him, when your number one, and he's a good receiver, is Devonta Smith, the other team is going to find a way to beat you.
Yeah. The other thing that's true about that game, and Chance can tell you this, it's really easy to be a quarterback when the guys on the other team don't tackle anybody. Like, Chance, you remember those games when you'd throw to Roy and Sloan and BJ, and then the dude trying to tackle them like never did? Y'all had a lot of fun those days, didn't you?
It was a blast. And watching that game, like, I kept going, they're going to make an adjustment. They're going to make an adjustment. They couldn't make the adjustment because the adjustment was they couldn't tackle.
It was terrible.
It is an epidemic, according to Mac Brown. That still hasn't changed.
Y'all have thought Trey Palmer was John Stallworth, man. They could not tackle any buck to save their life. It was hilarious to watch. And like Ketch said, at least it gave me a little bit of happiness after watching what the Cowboys did. Good grief. All right, before we get out of here, let's just sum it all up. Somebody did chat in. So Ketch says the wide receivers are better than Bama 2020. Chance says Wingo is better than Roy. I like it, says Kenny. Yes, just don't take that to Twitter, Kenny. Whatever you do, just stays right here. And finally, Blake reminds us, Chad's a whiskey connoisseur. Bo is a whiskey consumer. Is that fair, Bo?
I enjoy the finer things in life. I just drink more of them. So sometimes you got to, mix it up.
Yeah, see, I'll disagree with that. I think you maybe need to switch that. I'm the one that probably consumes the whiskey. Bo is going to be more of a connoisseur. Those bottles that you sent us pictures of around the holidays, that was some pretty fancy whiskey, sir.
No, There's whiskey for sipping like you are. And then there's whiskey to pour in a glass like this and layer with Diet Coke so you can drink 3 of them in the course of an Outsiders episode. You know, there's differences.
All right. Bo's getting after it. You got to love that. All right. We'll be back tomorrow night with another Outsiders. And thank you so much for liking, subscribing, and getting your notifications for Orange Bloods Live. Chance said on Monday he had people asking where the heck we were. They wanted us to do a show. They wanted Chance to have to be, focusing on something else other than his Buffalo Bills. They wanted me to not have to enjoy the Bucks whipping the Eagles. They wanted me to have to do a show. We decided to go check out the NFL, but we'll be back with you tomorrow night at 9:00. Thanks again to Blake, the super producer. He's a Chiefs guy. We'll find out tomorrow night if he's picking his Chiefs or if he's picking Chance's Buffalo Bills. We'll break it all down tomorrow at 9. Until then, we are the Outsiders, presented by Poncho, and we are legitimately worth a shit. Take a sip, kids.